Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a post from a person who just got a new boss and within a few weeks was put on a performance improvement plan by the new boss for seemingly no reason. They're wondering if they're overreacting and how they should respond. So let's go ahead and get into it. They start with, I met my new boss 3 weeks ago and I have been placed on a performance improvement plan. After listening to his reasons, it makes no sense why I was put on a performance improvement plan. Am I overreacting? Number one, I failed to pick up a headset from the office in a timely manner. I went to the office once and the headset wasn't there. I went back the next week and picked it up. Number two, I failed to have the correct equipment for online meetings because he wants us to have a camera. We only had these meetings where he ran them for 2 weeks now. I was working with my previous boss on getting a current computer because the computer they gave me is extremely out of date. Before I could get my computer, my new boss, the one that put me on the performance improvement plan, takes over. Now after 2 more weeks, I have an entirely new boss. Again, they hired him just a week ago. How can I get someone to request a new computer when the leadership keeps changing? Number three, I failed to complete a task that is part of my job. My previous boss never gave me those tasks, and I worked with him for 2 years. How can I fail at something I never had to do before the new guy came? Isn't this you have additional responsibilities, you will be trained type talk versus you aren't doing your job? Number four, I made him feel uncomfortable because I didn't have a microphone to talk. I kid you not, he said this to me. Number five, I failed to process new items in a timely manner. I have set up over 2,000 new items in my current position in the last 2 years. The person that had this job before me barely processed 500 new items and she was promoted. She quickly left after her promotion because she could no longer handle the culture of the company. I am 100% over her productivity. She gets promoted, but I get put on a performance improvement plan? Thought process. Not even a month passed since I met him, and he wants to put me on a performance improvement plan. I really don't understand where this is coming from since my previous boss said I was the best person he has had in this position and gave me a raise last year. This really doesn't make any sense to me. Should I try to fight this or should I let it go and look for another job? So I think there might be a couple of things happening here. First, this new boss might be trying to sort of assert himself as a dominant person right off the bat so that his bosses think or know he's going to take the reins and be a strong leader and he's out to prove himself. I'm not sure how old or experienced this new guy is, but it's also possible that he's trying to project a certain level of confidence by coming off as the tough guy, since he maybe isn't that confident or even good at his own job. Who knows? He could be like the woman you talked about who didn't have a very high productivity as you did, but still got promoted. So he might know he's dealing with someone who is actually smarter or better than him at their job. So he wants to make sure you know who's in charge. I guess I'm a little confused as to the process he's using too. Is it in line with the company policy of disciplinary action? Usually when there's disciplinary action, there's verbal warning before any sort of like specific action plans given. But that's again the generic way. But it does seem odd to jump right into a performance improvement plan without any previous disciplinary action. When you went in for the meeting and they put you on the plan, think back to how it went. Was it just where you came in and got read the riot act, or was it sort of like a coaching session and they wanted to make sure you were up to speed? If it was the former, the new guy just may want you out to make room for someone he wants to bring in. In that case, there's really not a lot you can do other than to document what factually happened and why you believe it to be inappropriate discipline. But in either case, you should schedule a meeting with him because any further action that you want to take is going to be predicated on if you had a meeting with him or not. If you go directly to HR and complain about him, they'll ask if you spoke to him. And if you go behind his back to his boss without speaking to him first, it may end up backfiring on you. So this one thing I've learned is never believe when anyone says it's going to be a confidential meeting either. Best believe they're going to go directly to your boss after your meeting and tell him everything you said, regardless of whatever they told you they'd keep private. So you'll need to deal with that fallout, and it will be worse if you don't talk to him first. Bottom line, just based on what you've said, though, it sounds like he's not a very strong person, nor is he really leadership material. So you have to keep in mind you're probably dealing with someone who has a fragile ego and isn't even quite sure what his employees do. So in a way, you kind of have to treat him like a child. Were he a good manager, he would have met with his employees ahead of time and gotten to know them, what they're doing in their individual responsibilities, and what projects they're working on, as well as what challenges they're facing. In a nutshell, you're going to have to kind of do some legwork if you want to stay there. If you don't, then this is all a moot point, and you should just start looking for a new job. But, if you like your job and you want to stay, then, you need to be prepared for a bit of conflict. This guy doesn't sound like he's very open to feedback. I mean, he could be, but since you don't know him well, my guess is he immediately went scorched earth. There's a reason, and he's probably not interested in building a relationship with his staff. But arrange a meeting with him and talk about how you feel it's unfair, and lay out exactly what you said here. He might have no idea what you're working on or your level of productivity, so you need to let him know and be honest. Tell him that you don't think it's fair. He's been here for a month and he doesn't know the role, and he's already put you on a performance improvement plan. But here's the thing you need to be careful about, and this is why you need to be very honest with yourself. Are you giving 100% accurate accounting of what actually happened, and there isn't any other reason you would be on a performance improvement plan? The reason is, if you escalate, you're kind of putting a target on your back, even if you are in the right. Make sure you know your company's policy on disciplinary action, because if he got his boss to sign off on the performance improvement plan, then his boss probably thinks you need to be on one as well. This is because performance improvement plans are usually used to basically usher someone out the door. It's a way of tracking every little thing they do, so they can almost find a reason for you to get let go. When you're usually put on a performance improvement plan, HR is definitely aware, and all the higher ups that need to know also know. So very rarely is someone put on a performance improvement plan, that I've known of, where it wasn't discussed ahead of time by a bunch of people. So, let's say you go out and meet with him and it doesn't go well, and you escalate and go to HR or his boss, and then they realize you are right. You've also sort of outed yourself as someone who isn't afraid to talk. So in the future, your boss or HR are going to keep tabs on you, even closer than normal. But again, it doesn't sound like your boss has a great reason for the performance improvement plan. I mean, all of those things are really minor, but it could be him trying to assert his authority, but who knows? If you have allies or coworkers or other management that you can call on for support, you can ask for their opinion. But if someone like that woman was promoted and quit right away, that should tell you something about how this company's management structure is, and that it's not working. So you might be fighting a losing battle no matter how right you are. You just have to you kind of have to decide what hill is worth defending, or if you just want to close up shop and cut your losses and move on. There's really not a good answer on how to deal with this stuff, with this kind of stuff, because disciplinary procedures at work are often really subjective. Companies and employees and HR people will always tell you that they're going to be consistent and it's fair, and it just isn't. It could be the guy just doesn't like you for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe you remind him of somebody he knew a long time ago and he's got a grudge against you. Who knows? It could be something as simple as that. But you need to make sure your ducks are in a row. Take an inventory of your work performance. Collect all your copies of a performance reviews. Have statistics on your productivity, facts about the past relationship with your old boss, and then use that to compare how the new boss is treating you and what he's saying you're doing versus what you actually did in the past. If you got to use factual data and metrics, so if you do decide to fight, you're gonna want to do it with confidence, and having data is going to support you, and you're also not going to react emotionally. But I hope this helps. If you like to speak more, feel free to reach out to me. In any case, good luck. It's going to be a tricky situation. It's kind of comes down to how invested are you in this position, and how much do you want to continue. But you can always consider going to HR at this point and let them know what's going on too. If you wanted to escalate right off the beginning, and that might be the route you want to go if you have no desire to really stick around and make things work either. So, If you do, though, again, you might want to, make sure you keep it positive with him the first time. Be factual. Don't react emotionally, and stay positive. Talk about how you want to make things work and you're not understanding. And make sure you mention that, yeah, this is my job description, but this was never been part of my daily responsibilities before. So I'm a little concerned about why I'm being punished for doing something that I've never had to do before. So again, that's just you taking the initiative when in reality he should have been having these conversations. He should have initiated this kind of conversation to begin with, so he knew what you were doing. But again, that's neither here nor there. We're past that. So now you kind of play cleanup, and you kind of have to almost coach up to him. So, but again, if you'd like to talk more, let me know. Otherwise, good luck, and we will talk to you soon.